आजकल हम देख रहे हैं कि यूनिफॉर्म सिविल
The views of the public on implementing uniform civil code in the country. Weeks after this, Prime Minister Narendra Modi pitched for uniform civil code and accused opposition parties of stirring up minority population to oppose it. A submission with more than 100 signatories was sent in response to the Law Commission of India's request for public comments on the Uniform Civil Code. And this submission represents the opinions of organizations working with women, LGBTQI communities, Dalits, Adivasis, human rights, as well as individual professionals from Karnataka. Organization objects to the central government's decision to time this exercise so that it coincides with the run-up to the 2024 Lok Sabha elections. It also said this has led to the trivialization of what should have been a serious public discussion on gender equality and discrimination in family laws, and the communalization of a divisive debate on the concept of an imaginary uniform civil code, and emphasized the Law Commission of India should drop the short-sighted idea of passing UCC and propose an idea of a thorough gender equality code while taking into account the vastly different religious and cultural environment of this nation. Women rights activists said, women's movement has understood that uniformity doesn't equate to justice. There is need for reform in every community. Indian society is very patriarchal. Every community should keep women in the center and they should be consulted when addressing any issues.
It does not give a draft, it does not give a reason why this uniform civil code is necessary, it does not give the objective. If you are bringing about a law, you should mention what is the problem that you are trying to solve with that law, what is the issue that you are trying to solve, what does the law provide for, what is going to be the effect of the law on the rights of people, how is it going to affect the rights of people. Instead of that, they have just put out a notice saying that you give your opinion about the uniform civil code. That's 3 words basically that they are saying. In fact, if we look back, 2018 the Law Commission of India put out a discussion paper, consultation paper on this very issue, where it after several rounds of consultation has actually said a uniform civil code is neither necessary nor desirable. That's what it specifically says, and it even looks at the whole gamut of personal laws and says yes, there is discrimination in each and every personal law of whichever religion that you look at. There is discrimination even in various secular laws. What is required is that the inequality that is there in these laws has to be set right. The discrimination that is there has to be set right, and equality has to be brought in, whether it is in any of the personal laws of any religion or of the secular laws. But uniformity is absolutely not necessary. Diversity is something that we should actually look and celebrate, and we should ensure to make sure that the gender discrimination that is prevalent has to be brought in.
Activists said LGBTQI seeks gender just code, which basically implies being inclusive in the new legal regime, such as marriage, adoption, divorce, inheritance, etc.
Is to ensure that people who identify with any gender are able to are accommodated within the new legal regime that we want, especially when it comes to questions of marriage, adoption, divorce, etc. Now, for example, marriage equality litigation is ongoing in the Supreme Court of India, and as we all know, the Union government has said that they will not be able to support marriage for persons from LGBTQI community. But the kind of gender just code that we are saying we want ensures that every Indian who is an adult in the country has the same kind of rights to marry, to adopt, to divorce, in terms of inheritance, succession, so on and so forth. That is what we are saying we want. So when you ask me the specific question about LGBTQI community, this is what we are proposing. And in the current legal regime, persons from LGBTQI community also don't have the same rights to adopt children. So we are saying that also needs to change. Or if you look at something like a Special Marriage Act, the language of that law should change, right?
First demand should be what we want, since we believe, value and follow constitution, and not just blindly follow the code pushed by the government, such as Uniform Civil Code.
Definitely a question that needs to be asked, because you put out a notice a few months before the elections. You have not given any draft, you have not mentioned your indication, and the way in which this is being put out is like fanning a communal agenda. That is what we are seeing. So the way in which you can see WhatsApp messages that are being put out, you can see various messages that are going out in social media, as if to say that this is meant to look at amending the laws of one particular religion, or minority religions. That is what it seems to be. It seems to be pushing on social media. Whereas this is a very serious issue, an issue in which the Law Commission itself has said no to Uniform Civil Code. An issue where the Law Commission itself has said that what you require is equality, not uniformity. So when that is the case, why is this Law Commission, if it is really interested, why has it not put out that discussion paper of the 2018 Law Commission itself? Why has that discussion paper not been put out? Why has that not been shared with people? Why are people not being able to access that and see that? That is the question that really arises. And the fact that it's coming a few months before election, certainly it raises very serious question. This is an agenda of the RSS that it has been pushing for several years. And but it is not interested in gender equality. It is not interested in gender justice. It is interested in fanning some kind of communal fire, which is something that's absolutely unacceptable.
Feminist organization activists said, "We want to move away from communalization. We should come about if UCC is implemented. Personal laws will be discriminated if UCC is implemented."
Needs to discuss this issue, keep women in the center of the discussions, women in leadership, women who have experienced no violence, who have supported women who have been addressing issues of justice. They should be consulted, and these issues needs to be kind of find a root in every community, not only Hindu, not only Muslim, not only Christian, not only Adivasi, not only Parsi or Sikh. If a politician gives this kind of a call, it is a very politicized comment, I would say. I wouldn't say that but I mean, I would single out Hindu community for needing reforms. Certainly not. There has been the 2018 report of the previous Law Commission has given comments for every community. What are the major drawbacks in each community law, in each community code, and what can be reformed? So that would be a much better way of looking at it objectively and in a way that it adds value to justice for women.
In all laws, whether it's personal or secular, which is our concern. As women's groups, we are concerned with gender justice in all communities, and in secular laws, and in personal laws, and in customary laws. But we are extremely shocked at the way in which this whole issue has been framed, starting with the Law Commission notice, which leaves it open to interpretation. There is no discussion on gender justice, but there's more discussion on the so-called uniformity. So our question is, what is this uniformity? Who do you want to bring uniformity to? We are a diverse country. We're a diverse country with diverse communities, diverse practices, diverse contexts. We want gender justice in all these diverse contexts. Can you bring this about with a uniform civil code is our question. And I think as women's groups, we have constantly said, we have been saying that what we want is not uniformity, and uniformity particularly the way in which it is being framed in today's context. And when we look at the kind of the social media response, the way that, because it's not as if the government has put forward any clear idea of what this uniform civil code will actually look like. If it had at least put that forward, we could have had a discussion on that. What is this notion of uniform civil code? But instead it has only let loose a few words. It has only let loose a few words into the public arena, which is that of uniformity, and it is being taken forward by the social media, which is projecting it as focusing only on some personal laws, especially that of minorities. And we have great problems with that, because as women's rights activists, we see how there is gender justice not in one community.